Welcome, everybody, to our work session of the Ocean Township Board of
I
Education.
need to be on that side.
Mr. Cass, would you take the roll, please?
Yeah, just
Dr. Fields.
Present.
Ms. Megan.
Here.
Mr. McCarthy.
Here.
Mr. Duffy.
Here.
Ms. Colamas.
Here.
Ms. Talerico.
Here.
Ms. Porterello.
Here.
Mr. Weinstein.
Here.
Ms. Young.
Yes, I'm here and ready to go. I'll begin with the president's report. So this is Teacher Appreciation Week in our district, but it should be each and every week. And I would just like to again extend a thank you to every staff member, every instructional assistant for the work that they do, not just this week, but every single week for every student in our district. And for that, we thank you, and all of the celebrations that are going on in each school, well deserved. So kudos. Tonight's an exciting night, and it's wonderful to see everybody here on many levels. Our town is about to have a new superintendent and perhaps a new town council. Hopefully that too. I know. You're still here, still standing.
No,
and
I'm
that's
saying
great.
we're approving new superintendent. Who knew?
So who knew? Exactly. As far as the board goals, I believe I sent everyone a copy of the board goals going forward. We can continue to have more discussion about the goals for the 2023-2024 school year. And if you'd still like to submit something for our discussion, we will do that as well. And that's all that I have for the moment. Dr. Stefanowicz.
I have nothing new.
Nothing new. All right.
Let's move on.
Yes, and tonight we're going to change the order of our agenda and move the personnel up after our reading and approval of the minutes so that we can move things along a little bit. School business administrator, Mr. Cass, do you have anything to report to us?
No, nothing to report.
Okay,
For those of you who don't know, this is Mr. Elliot Cass, our assistant business administrator, filling in tonight. So Elliot, thanks for being here.
thank you very much. All right. Then we will go to at this point in the meeting, conduct the first of two public comment sessions. The first session will be open for public comment on agenda items only. The second session at the end will be on any topic. Would anyone from the public like to comment on an agenda item at this time? In our auditorium, perhaps? Ms. Conway, how about on our Zoom?
Madam President, good evening. There are no commenters on our virtual Zoom meeting.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll move then to our action items. The approval of minutes. Mr. McCarthy.
Thank you very much, Madam President. Move to approve items 7.1 through 7.3. Do I have a second?
Second.
You do all in favor?
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
None opposed. Okay, wonderful. So now we will move to personnel, of which there are quite a few items. Mrs. Parlamas.
Certainly. I have 20 items to vote on this evening, but I'm only going to read the first one. And the first motion is I move to approve the appointment of Kelly Weldon to the position of Chief School Administrator for the Township of Ocean Board of Education effective July 1st, 2023 to June 30th, 2026 as the attached contract. Ms. Weldon's contract has been approved by the interim executive county superintendent of schools, Dr. Lester Richards. Copy of the contract is attached. I'd also like to move items 10.2 through 10.28. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Cass.
All in favor?
Oh, we have-
Go down. Read the names.
Dr. Beal.
Yes.
Ms. Hayes.
Yes.
Ms. McGovern.
Yes.
Ms. Talerico.
Yes.
Ms. Porterello.
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein.
Yes.
Ms. Young.
Yes.
Don't forget me.
No, Ms. Moran.
Yes.
I also was missed.
Mr. McCarthy.
Mr.
Oh,
McCarthy.
Ms. McCarthy.
Yes.
Right.
I need to go back and recuse myself from the vote for 10.1, sadly. Everything else, 10.2, yes. Thank you.
Good.
If I may. Ms. Walden, if I can speak for a moment, finally, that I may speak. Our journey began in the English department. And even though our paths diverged, I think it's just fitting that after all this time, we find ourselves back here full circle, still with the same goals in mind. And that is the education of all of our students, giving the best that we can. So I congratulate you on your appointment as superintendent. And I congratulate you on your Spartan legacy. That was great. Congratulations. All right, so we'll move back up then to,
Does Kelly want to say anything? Kelly, do you want to say anything?
Yeah, just thank you all very, very much. Everyone in front of me, everyone behind me, I could not have done this alone. It's a team effort and this is a tremendous district and I cannot wait to continue to work hard to make it better every day in my new role.
All right, Kelly.
and in addition, I just wanted to offer congratulations to all our teachers who achieved tenure and to everyone who received a promotion.
Yeah, I'm done here.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, righty?
Yeah, we
Well,
did.
I thought we voted on it.
You did it all at one time?
Yeah.
Oh, just you wanted it. Oh, I thought you were gonna do the one.
No,
Oh, okay, I'm sorry.
we already did.
Oh, forget it.
So yes,
Yeah,
congratulations.
congratulations. I guess we did. I thought you did one.
No.
Forgive me.
Anyone else
I guess I should retire.
that I need to congratulate? All right,
You want to reopen the floor for comments?
pardon me.
Yeah, maybe reopen the-
Okay.
All right, we'll go back up to our action items then. We'll go back to finance. I was going to, if anyone would care to leave before our work session, or you're welcome to certainly stay for the nuts and bolts of our meeting. Wow, okay.
Congratulations.
Congratulations, Amy.
Bye.
Congrats. So much.
If it's COVID.
Ms. Tortorella, whenever you're ready for the financial management and resource.
I don't do that anymore. Alex.
Alex does it.
Good work.
All right. We'll go to Ms. Hayes.
Shall I go?
Yes,
Pulling it up. 8.1, move to approve the submission of an application for the NJ DOE school-based mental health grant as described on the attached memo dated May 3rd, 2023. Wait, do I not need to
You can just say move. to
Don't read them.
no.
move to approve 8.1 to 8.4?
There you go. Nailed it.
I'll
Is there
second.
a second?
Can we
You
ask
can
a
give it
question?
to, yeah.
I do have discussion.
We're actually gonna
Yeah,
ask
any discussion?
questions. Yeah, there's people who have
Yeah,
questions.
sorry.
Yes, Ms. Talarico?
I would just like to know with the grant, how many new staff would we be looking at? we get a-
It was somewhere around,
As well.
what was the number that we did, guys?
We said 9 interns and then possibly 5 to 10 active students.
Thank you.
Right, and there's 20 awards, right? Out of the potential of around 200 districts.
203.
Okay, so there were 203 districts eligible to apply. That doesn't mean they all did. And there'll be 25 awards, so we're very hopeful.
Hopeful,
And,
yeah.
That's great.
you know, Ms. Weldon and Ms. Hanson did a great job really putting this together, and we hope we get it. It would really be a good, very good.
Be
opportunity-
awesome.
Very good opportunity for the district in terms of providing mental health services and supports for kids, so.
We'll hope for the
Let's
best.
hope. You guys know anybody, give them a call.
And just a note on the Shade Tree Commission, we're waiting to, I know that Ms. Edson and her wonderful project with the monarch butterflies, we've approved, or hopefully will approve the donation of the trees. It's just a matter of them finding the trees, and hopefully we'll be able to get them to her in time for her to plant them before the end of the school year. Ms. Hayes, you had a question?
Yes, on the use of school facilities, I apologize, I didn't Google what this means, but what is? I'm not very, Naritia Creations?
It's a dance company.
So is it like they're giving a free concert, a concert for pay? Do we know?
I don't know if it's free or for if they're charging admission, that I don't know. We can certainly try to find that out.
Okay,
The event is on July 8th. They're rehearsing on the 7th and the event is on July 8th.
well, and then it says June 17th. There's something else too.
It
There's
could
three-
also be like a dance recite. Sometimes it's recitals,
Yeah,
which by that time frame, 1 to 8.
If I may, it is a recital on the
Yeah.
17th, and it's also a graduating student performing on July 7th.
Thank you, Mrs. Conway. Ms. Talarico?
Thank you. I just have a question about Camp David with the football games. Is that new?
Yeah, they've never been on the turf before.
They've never been on them. And
Yeah.
are they the students coming from the intermediate school or are they new students?
I would assume it's all the students who are involved in the camp. I don't know exactly which age group or. It's once again, right now, but
10 to 3 on those specific dates.
I'm assuming it's the campers,
Right.
Obviously.
Any other questions? Yes. Ms. Cordero?
Accelero, 818 and
Are we on the first three right now?
We're not, yeah, we're only on the
Well,
voting one.
My God, sorry, I'm looking in the wrong spot.
That's okay.
Sorry.
you want me to continue with A5?
Well, we vote first. No.
Oh, we need to vote for,
8.1 through 8 through 4. Are there
So,
any
Elliot, we're
questions
voting, yeah.
on any of those, 8.1 through 8.4? Okay, Mr. Cass?
Dr. Gill,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
yes,
Mr. McCarthy,
yes,
Ms. McGovern,
Yes.
Ms. Mohammed.
Yes.
Ms. Talarico,
Yes.
Ms. Cordero,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein,
yes,
Ms. Gilman.
Yes, thank you very much. For discussion now, any questions?
so should I read, Board of Education Administration will discuss. Do I need to read each of these? 8.5 to 8.20?
Aren't you glad you don't have to read it all?
Yes, it's awesome.
So
Yes, Ms. Tortorella.
in the correct spot, 818 and 819 is Accelero. What happens with that long term as we get to universal preschool? Will we always have that partnership or does it fade out?
Well, and I don't know if it's been completely formalized, but the Department of Education has at the beginning of this school year, it was always our intention to phase that out and have
Okay.
all the students be in district. We part of what helped us in the scoring of the original grant was having a private partner like a Head Start. So was sort of the initial reason we did this first. we were definitely looking to phase it out. However, the communication, unless there's been updates to that communication, has been, you want to go
Yeah.
back, Chris?
So they, in the beginning of the school year, the department announced that the statutes, everything was sunsetting this year, and they're writing new preschool standards and new code. And that is actually being released on Thursday. So once they release that on Thursday, we'll know more, but they had indicated that in the new code that they were going to be requiring districts to partner with Head Start. So that's why we decided we might as well keep the partnership this year until we see what's happening with the new, all the new laws.
I think that there was fear that the state's initiative could seriously impact Head Start programs in the state. Because if there's universal pre-K, ultimately in
going
the
to
state,
Southern,
which is
right.
the goal.
Yep.
Then there would not be a need for Head Start.
Right.
And I think, the fear of that, and so
Okay.
I think they're trying to ensure that Head Start
Stays. there, yeah.
stays.
Got it.
To some degree.
Okay, thank you.
I'm glad we're being proactive with that, then, and keeping that Acelero.
Well, for now, and
For now.
we'll see how it progresses, but that partnership has been positive, since we started, they've done a very nice job of it's worked well, but yeah, I think ultimately we would. I think ideally, we'd like to have all the kids in the district.
So just to clarify on that, I don't mean to interrupt you, Ms. Hayes, if you don't mind me asking a question. So the hesitancy is that if a universal pre-K is provided by the state, they don't want to eradicate.
That's my guess, John.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that's a definite. I just
Doesn't
that-
universal pre-K then replace a Head Start program's purpose or what? And the reason I asked is,
Start offers a lot more services to students.
Right.
And families, they have wraparound services to students.
which means for the layman, what does that mean? A wraparound service?
Before and after?
They help parents find jobs, they give before care, after care that's free, they have free breakfast, lunch.
Okay, they do much more than a universal
They do
pre-K
much
program
more.
does. Okay, thank you.
And there also might be families, like if I had an infant that went there, I may want my 3-year-old to still be in the same building as my, so some
Understood.
families may want to still utilize that as well.
Thank you.
Any other questions about the partnership, the Acelero? Anything on 8.5 through 8.20? Mrs. Hayes?
I have a couple. So ESS in 820, there are two ESSs that we are contracted with. Is this the one that has done PD for mental health, or is this another one? Is this, something?
This is for a substitute.
I know yes, I know what it's for, but I just don't know what ESS in this case stands for. Is this Effective School Solutions, or is this the other ESS?
It's the same. It's the same group, right? Yeah, it's the same group. It's just, it's different. It's a different.
Oh, different like
Capacity.
Okay. Okay, and then, as I asked in my email, trying to give a heads up to some of my questions for tonight. Can we get some background on the Sodexo? Because that's quite a jump in how much lunch is going to cost.
Yeah, I think the issue there is just, the cost of food and how that's increased over the last, year or two. And part of what I understand through the RFP is that they're really not, they're not offering as much of a guarantee in the past as they used to. I'll let you want to.
So just in regards to the price, so we had our contract, and we could do 4 additional years
Mhm.
previously, and they're limited to the same price plus the consumer price increase, which was like 7.5% or whatever. So that's why we went from 352 to 452, because the inflation was so much that they had to catch up on it. And I did speak to our rep, and she was saying it's not just chicken, it's eggs, it's bread, it's everything.
Sure.
The price of everything has gotten way higher. So that's where the pricing comes into it. And then what was the other part of your question?
Just,
You wanted to know why.
yeah, I just wanted to know why.
Or the difference, so also the management fee for Sodexo was 12,000, and then for the other company, I think it was 80,000. So that's where the difference, like if you look at the pricing, that's where the difference came from, because the difference was like, they were off by like $70,000, I think, and Sodexo was the lower one.
I didn't see a price per meal though for the machios or whatever the name is.
Yeah.
Did we, because I didn't see that in the documentation, because to me, students shouldn't be passed. Like it shouldn't matter if Sodexo is 12 and the other one is 80,000. That's not the student's fault,
Right.
problem, The students need to pay the daily fee. So what was Mashio's daily, the meal cost? Do we have that somewhere?
Yeah, we do.
Like, because if they were $320, but they had an $80,000 fee, but the other one was like 12,000 and it was like, is that making sense? Like,
I don't think.
I don't feel like we
it's
should
that big,
pass along.
We can certainly check on that and have that for next week before we vote.
That would be helpful, but I don't know, do we need to all vote on this?
Can I,
Ms. McGovern?
as somebody who did the RFP for this last year, the board was much more involved last year, so I remember doing this last time. I do also remember that Sodexo last time did not increase our prices. That was one of our big things with them. We asked them not to go up in our meals at all at the time.
Like in the last contract, right?
Correct.
Yep.
So I think that there's probably also, we've been behind for 4 years, big time. So it may have been, instead of 350, it might have actually supposed to have been 390, so I think that the jump, while I agree, it's a lot. I think it also has to do with the fact that we were kept low for 4 years. And we wanted to make sure Deal was always a little bit more than ours.
Yeah.
So, when we were doing that, they paid a little bit more than our students paid. However, we definitely kept it low at the time.
That makes sense.
Yes, Mr. Weinstein.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I remember that whole discussion, how everything was flat
Yeah.
and they put in, but the only thing I'm just kind of curious about here is, so this is kind of forward looking, right? So it went up by some big percent, right? So if there's some correction in the market, is there a method to
That's a good question.
claw that back? Not claw it back, but going forward, like, let's pretend, the inflation gets to 3% again or something like that, right? Is there a method that we can deal with that? What?
Yeah.
Yeah.
To bring the price down.
To bring the price down, right?
I'd have to look at that.
Yeah, well.
Yeah. Because I think when we were doing this, I remember that whole thing. And no, I don't think anybody contemplated that there was going to be such a huge jump so shortly after all this stuff, right? How long is the contract for?
It's 1 year and then we do 4 and then it's for the additional 4 years.
Right, so, okay.
And are all those 6
Mr.
subsequent
McCarthy.
years in listed the prices?
So it's locked the same price, just they can get the consumer price.
Index, yeah.
7%.
Sorry.
Last year.
Mr. McCarthy, you had a question.
Is there any difference between the two in the quality of the food that they are providing that we have records to demonstrate and proof of?
They
in
did a
terms of
taste,
nutrition?
we did a taste testing.
I mean
We brought
nutritional
that-
value, what we're feeding our
Well,
children.
that all has to meet federal guidelines.
So that's what it's all based off of.
It's all typical.
Federal guidelines. They
Yeah.
just have to adhere to that. We do no evaluation of someone going above those
No,
guidelines.
well, what do you mean when you said we do an evaluation?
Like, in evaluating our proposal, are we looking into any increased provisions that are adding to the cost for Machio versus Sodexo due to them not adhering to the minimums?
Like maybe Fruit Loops is not considered a fruit.
Like pizza is not actually a vegetable, like that kind of thing, just because it has tomato in it.
That's how Fruit Loops are a fruit.
There you go, great point. But but technically,
I think they said.
I don't know the answer. I mean, we can, we'll.
can we look, if the
Sure.
board is okay with it, can we look into see
Well,
if
they
that?
gave us
Absolutely.
a sampling. I remember before COVID, when they were doing the chef recognition and they had food available at the intermediate school and board members went and sampled what was prepared, but I'm wondering,
For an understanding, just to clarify, not necessarily of taste, but of quality.
but of
ingredients,
quality,
you know?
absolutely.
Um,
But I just wonder if after all of the COVID, all the food is for free, if perhaps some of those freebies now are being
Passed on.
passed down to school districts.
Okay.
I mean, everybody had free meals.
Pretty much is in all of.
It's been all year.
It seems to be, and this just seems to be yet another case. I also wonder if there's any way not to discount, but if X number of families are qualifying for free school lunch, is there a way to increase that number? Is there any other program to provide families who don't quite meet the federal guidelines for free lunch? Is there
Well, there's
anything else?
reduced, I mean,
There's reduced, so it does,
So there are tiers,
there
yeah.
are tiers.
Yeah. The
Maybe you can
biggest
get on that.
problem is getting people to apply. That really is.
And I think we do need to
Yeah.
get that out there
And
again
that was,
too, especially given the
we've
increase.
talked many times about the fact that, when everything was free, you didn't have to apply, right? So people.
Right,
and then
so
the
people fell
census-
into that.
You know, the census also occurred too over the last couple of years, and that adjusted the population a little bit. So it all impacts it.
Absolutely. Ms. McGovern.
Do you know if the Sodexo contract added back, and I didn't see this, the Future Chefs
That was it, Future
competition?
Chef.
Yeah, because
I don't check that out.
I don't know if you can, yeah, so I don't know if you were here when they did it because it was pre-COVID, but
Mm.
they used to do where our students were able to go in and cook things, and we had a little competition, and it was a Sodexo competition, like their
That's what I
company
said.
did it. Yeah, so I
was
didn't hear.
delicious.
Yeah.
So that's, I'd like it to come back if it was,
Yeah,
I don't
that
know
would
if
be,
that was
was great.
contractual.
Yeah, I think COVID was it.
Mrs. Hayes.
I think what you brought up is a good point that perhaps the legislative committee could, I mean this with all honesty and earnestness, could maybe meet with our legislators about going up from 350 to 450. I understand they have to, and therefore we have to, but I'm still stuck on this is going to affect our parents and our kids. And there's so many, like you said, that fit just in between outside the 55,000. You know, that's our free and reduced 55,000. There's families here who make $100,000 and still this is going to be a huge thing for them. That's $5 more per kid per week. I mean, I feel like that's a lot. And with the SNAP benefits, you know, halted as of 2 months ago, you know, people who are getting $80 a week are now getting $0 or whatever it is. I just think this needs to maybe be addressed with them. So thanks.
Taking note.
And we really will communicate as best we can to have people apply for free and reduced lunches. Any other comments on the finances? Let's move to
I'm sorry.
instruction.
Sorry,
Yes.
one more. The physical therapy, how often do we expect to use the physical therapy and the child study team? I'm just curious. I probably bring this up every year when we try to contract out CST. But how much do we expect to use like that potential contract in 8.5 and then in 8.11 for PT and for CST?
The CST is really just a backup. We use it for like if we have a lead replacement or you know something unexpected throughout the course of the year. That's the primary usage, but we need to kind of have the contract in place if we have that situation. And the physical therapy, I think, is more of a summer.
Yeah, we have only one physical therapist in the district, and she is not working the ESY program, so I have to contract out to supply physical therapists. That's primarily.
Okay. And we don't anticipate during COVID, remember, didn't we have a child study team bill of like $50,000 that we had to approve in like a week's notice or something like that, or $100,000 because we had all these extra CSTs that had to be done over the summer. So we don't expect something like that.
Yeah, because, no.
Okay, well,
That was because
I didn't expect
to
the
provide
$100,000.
compensatory services
Yeah.
because of things missed during the time we were completely.
Okay, so, all right, thank you. Awesome. So hopefully we won't need them that much, this much. I mean, this.
Students. The audience can't hear this discussion, so either you go to the
Okay,
mic
yeah.
or, yeah, a little louder.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, if there are no further questions, we'll go to instruction, education, and student activities. Dr. Beal.
Move to approve 9.1 through 9.7.
Second.
Dr. Beal?
Any
Wait.
discussion about the
That's okay.
items? I guess not.
Hold on, I'm sorry, the class trip, I thought I had a question, did I not?
You're going to Philly.
Yeah,
Every year.
from my email earlier, the $5 per student. So is that covering the charter bus? Since there is zero cost here for the charter bus in this. So we're not paying a dime for the charter bus?
It was a competition that they wanted, and I was trying to get that answer today, but I was not able to connect.
Yeah.
Hopefully we'll have it.
Meaning like the price?
So I mean, the price of the trip, I think the total cost of the bus was $16.50. And then the children's contribution is going to help offset that, but it doesn't pay for the whole thing. I think you paid some of that out of pocket.
We paid it,
Yeah, I
the
mean,
kids paid it
certainly,
last year.
certainly,
Yeah,
yeah,
this-
50 times 5 is an equal in the price, so I would.
It's
assume-
more than the price of the bus, yeah.
Right.
Now, but
And this
Okay.
is a trip that's been done.
Well, this is the competition.
debating the
Students
trip.
won. you know,
I was
so-
wondering what the cost.
Yeah, I mean, we'll look into this one, I think.
Probably lunch and bus. I go lunch, bus.
I'm sorry, Mr. McCarthy?
No.
I'm making assumptions.
That's
Speaking
okay.
out of turn, I apologize, Madam President.
But that's all right.
Yeah, I think we'll
That's all
just have to go back and see exactly what that, why is this contribution needed?
Mhm.
And
Right, either-
Can we
Pay for the whole thing.
address the whole thing? But what I would recommend is if it's up for approval, let's approve it. And then if we have to, we can talk to the kids.
To the teacher.
I mean, it's before our next meeting, but we can have that conversation and see if there's a way that we can do that.
To cover the cost
To
for the
Cover the
kids.
cost, the whole cost.
Yeah.
Ms. McGovern, did you have your hand up? No, okay. Any other discussion? 9.1 to 9.7. I think we're good.
Dr. Bill,
Yes.
Ms. Hayes,
Yes.
Ms. McCarthy,
Yes.
Ms. McDowell,
Yes.
Ms. Carr,
Yeah.
Ms. Calarina,
Yes.
Rivera,
Yes.
Mr. Weinstein.
Yes.
Ms. McGovern.
Yes.
Okay, discussion regarding 9.8 and 9.9.
I have a question on 9.9. I guess probably for Ms. Weldon. I have a question on 9.9. How come our social studies textbooks are so old?
Oh, history's
For
already
high school?
goes back a ways.
No, I mean, like sixth grade, seventh grade, 2000, 2003. Grade 6 and 7, history of US, 2006.
Some of those are supplemental and they're not the main, they are the only textbook that we have, but we use other resources besides textbooks. Teach the course. But every year we look at, the teachers provide input about the resource and we supplement with, we just bought a program for the for the middle school research database that does different social studies topics. We also have the BBQ project that we approved in the past that's more current.
Yeah, I would tell you that most of our social studies teachers are not using the textbook as a primary source. That being said, I think anything newer, anything from years further, I think they're using, internet, they're using primary sources as well as said. I mean, the one problem with history is that it, unlike many other subjects,
Correct.
well, the history,
But-
how we interpret it,
Yeah, but we're looking.
but I'm saying it's an ever-growing subject area.
Sure.
Right? Every year, obviously, it grows and grows and grows.
So-
Kind of like science and others, but you know what I'm saying, like, you're always up against that problem of.
Yeah, I didn't expect it to be every year we get a new
So
set.
we're trying years.
We're looking at
in some
20 years. I mean,
Yeah.
grade 7 is 20 plus years and.
Yeah. Well, textbooks are very expensive, so, I think sometimes, we do make some of those decisions, especially if the textbook is not the primary source. Do we want to make such a huge investment
Yeah.
or not?
Yeah, I mean,
something that's the primary source?
What Ms. Weldon said answers it. It's not the primary source. That's understood. Thank you.
Well,
Question,
Just-
Mr.
yeah,
Weinstein?
I'm just kind of curious. It's not the primary source, but it's obviously, it could be an expensive source, right?
To replace it.
Well, I mean, if we're getting these new books, if we're getting these books, is that an expensive source then?
We're not buying.
We're not buying them. We're
No,
gonna-
this is approving the technical.
Just approving it.
So we're not buying these.
Okay.
Unless you're providing a giant grant.
I misunderstood that.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
Any other questions? 9.8, 9.9?
Not
Mr.
about
McCarthy?
9.8, 9.9. Do you want to read 9.4 since that is a proclamation? I don't know if that's something that maybe should, or the
Yes, thank you for reminding me.
chairperson of the committee.
I did. Sign that.
Special ed week. one?
Yes.
We don't necessarily always, but you're
Proclamation.
certainly welcome
Seems
to if
pretty
you'd
nice.
like.
Seems kind of special.
If you'd wish to, sure.
What's,
Dr. Beal,
And
would
we-
you like to read that proclamation?
Putting you on the spot. you want this.
If I could pull it up, I would, but
Here, it's right here.
Yes. I
On the
have-
screen.
It's on the screen.
be nice if we had
Yes,
our
yes,
size. Right?
Special Education Week, whereas 234,000 children receive special education instruction in New Jersey, and whereas more than 15,000 special needs children are enrolled in preschool and early intervention programs in New Jersey. My context.
No, I know, but she's gonna scroll it up.
Okay. Whereas thousands of parents, teachers, child study team members, and school administrators give generously of their time and energy to support the learning needs of special education students. And whereas since 1985, New Jersey has proclaimed the second week in May each year as Special Education Week in New Jersey. And whereas the theme for Special Education Week 2023 is Creating a Better World. And whereas the public school districts of New Jersey make a major contribution to the public welfare by preparing thousands of exceptional persons to participate as citizens of this state and as members of society. Therefore, be it resolved that the District Board of Education recognizes the students who have worked so hard and accomplished so much, and thanks their parents and educators who have provided support to these children and continue to look for ways to improve our schools to promote the achievement of all students.
Thank you very much, and congratulations this week to all of our special ed teachers, our special ed support staff, and our students. And Ms. Hanson. Thank you. And thank you, Mr. McCarthy, for pointing that out.
John.
All right, I believe that's instruction, so we will move on with, we did personnel. And let's move to our policy. Mr. McCarthy?
Move to discuss item 11.1, presentation of policies and regulations.
And again, there is a summary of all of the policies that should be included if you have had a chance to look those over. Mrs. Hayes?
Is this when we're just going to be discussing them, or I don't know if the policy committee would like us to email suggestions, but for one, the 4217 use of corporal punishment, I realized the language of this is basically saying we don't do corporal punishment.
Yeah.
So I don't know why the title is use of corporal punishment. I think it would behoove us to perhaps, maybe can we title it
Forbidding
the
use of
abolition of corporal punishment? Or
It is
some-
wording from Strauss Esme.
but we don't have to always
use that.
use it. It
And
just-
there are districts who use Strauss Esme and also use corporal punishment.
I totally get it, but since we don't, when I went to Google,
It's in New Jersey, but
I was gonna say, maybe.
in South Carolina,
when I went to look on this,
it's legal.
when I went to look on this on our policy thing, I looked up corporal, like the word corporal punishment, and then up pops our policy that says use of corporal punishment, just as, it saw no text, and I'm like, what? Use?
Punishment.
It should say, in my
Just want to take
opinion,
out the use of,
or
correct?
yes,
Prohibition of.
prohibition of, abolishment of,
Yeah.
or just put 4217 corporal punishment,
Yeah, that's what I
whatever. I don't know. There's got to be a better way of saying it.
That works.
It's
Yeah.
2023. We shouldn't.
I, well, I mean,
Well,
policy
that's-
titles are often kind of prescribed. I'll
They are
check to see
prescribed,
if
but
we
maybe
have some
can
some
ask
latitude.
Strauss Esme if we may
Yeah, if we have the latitude.
change
sure.
that.
Certainly.
Any other policy question in our first readings?
The citizens advise,
Ms. Talarico?
I'd like to talk about 0144, the board member orientation and training.
Yes.
So as I was looking here, it says that there's a manual that is given out, the policy manual. What
Shall
what is
receive
that?
access to and copy of the bylaws and policy manual. Those are online. Are you talking
So
about a hard
that's in
copy?
a, like, how is that given to new board members? That's my question.
I'm assuming we refer them to the
So I
school
believe-
website.
I believe that's what.
And when you first,
You were?
you saw a PDF.
And said-
Ms. McCarthy, can you?
Yeah, I
answer
was
that?
referred to that in my orientation with Dr. Spangus.
That's what I thought.
There's documents.
Link in the document.
A link in the document to
Yes,
our
correct.
policies and bylaws.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Is there
You
anything in
just
there
say
about
that.
Robert's rules?
I can't
don't think there is.
equivocally say yes or no to that, but if there isn't, I would love
I
it to
would
be
love
in
to
there.
add it.
Yeah,
It,
Sure.
it just says that we are governed by Robert's
Right,
rules, but then
yeah, that is what it is.
Not a lot of
That's
people
right.
know what that is.
get
as a
yourself
new
your own
board
copy.
member. I mean, maybe we can just review what it is that we give to new board members.
Well, we give them an orientation, without a doubt.
No, but
I think
maybe,
we've all, you want them
Well,
to
it
receive
always,
it.
it always evolves. I think, we certainly added
Got
to
it.
it and, we can, sure.
no, maybe.
Yes,
To like what you're saying is maybe the policy committee can look at even just, or create an email that should go out, so it's standardized and it has those things on it,
but that's what the superintendent
links?
does,
Well,
or links or whatever.
yeah, the business administrators.
and the business
That's what we-
administrator,
That's been a
what
long
they
time
do.
since you've been to your new
Yeah.
board member orientation.
right, but it is part of their new orientation.
We have a whole series of handouts that we
Right.
provide.
I just
but
remember
it can always
signing a lot
be-
of things.
It can always be adapted and
Yeah,
added to,
doesn't-
sure.
That'd be great.
I
But
think hands-on training is better than here's a packet,
Thank you.
you
no,
know,
I'm
and-
saying hands-on training, but you get an email and it has information in it, as John said, like, I don't remember getting that email because it's been as.
No.
It's
At
been-
first I got like a legit like folder of like
Yeah. I remember
documents
that,
this
yeah.
thick and then signed a bunch of stuff and. All that kind of stuff, so, but
Did you get that?
noted to review.
Any other
I think we had.
I believe you. We're a different class.
policy
That
questions?
was a different class.
Okay, that was our first reading. And again, for public relations. Right, I
that's
guess,
me.
yep. I'm
Yep.
sorry.
I think that's me, right?
Yes, it is. Just toward the board goals for 2023.
Board of Education Administration will discuss the Board of Education goals and objectives for 2023. And I believe there is an attachment.
Oh, there they are. Yes.
Yep.
And I believe everybody has a copy of these. I know at our regular meetings, I make it a point to read one of the board goals at each meeting. I've read I've read quite a few of them. I know that at next meeting, and I know, Dr. Beal, you had submitted something similar to this, the one about strategies and practices in hiring diverse teachers and administrators by encouraging direct contact with the appropriate colleges, universities, and other culturally diverse professional organizations. I think your submission was similar to that, except for regular reporting, correct? Like
I added
quarterly
a-
reporting,
Yes, a written quarterly report.
written quarterly reporting. Other comments about our current goals?
I have a question.
Dr. Yeah. Ms. Teller.
For the SEL and mental health, are we continuing the summer program that we had, or just the SAC counselors that were available in summer?
Yes, there's continued.
Terrific, thank you.
For SEL and mental health.
Yeah, our student assistant counselors in summer.
And hopefully we'll get a grant. We'll be able to expand that. That
Be
would
good.
be great. Any other questions, comments about our goals? Okay, we'll move to old business.
But I don't understand, these were the same goals as last year?
Yes, they're the same goals,
Okay,
but then I emailed you.
yeah, and I responded.
New suggestions, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
I forgot to add this suggestion and I think more because I don't know what the feeling of the board is, but if we look back at the policies we just spoke of and we spoke about the board member or something,
orientation.
and training. I have secretly in my own mind for the last 9 years thought that it could maybe be a goal that we encourage board members to maybe take at least one online course throughout the year. When you get to someone like me, who's, I'm now in my 4th term, the only training I have to take this year is the
Was it governance?
is the governance, the changes in governance, which a
Right.
lot of times is nothing, right? It's there's not really many changes. And I've thought, I've taken some I know many of us have taken some things and I just thought, and it can be an individual thing. I'm just saying, I don't know how the board would feel about it, but to maybe just encourage us all to take maybe, so I'm in charge of planning and construction, right? Or not in charge, but I'm the committee chairperson for planning and construction. So it would probably behoove me to take maybe a planning or construction based thing. And I know we do it at school boards. But
yes.
as we all know, school boards is in October, so I could take that in October and then the next president comes in and I'm now no longer in charge of planning and construction.
Good
So
point.
it's just, I don't know the temperature of even writing it down on a piece of paper if anyone else thinks that this would be a good board goal. But a lot of times we're looking for things that the board or could be actionable items of ourselves or things that we can actually do. And I just think this is kind of a direct it's a direct thing of what we could do. So it's a suggestion. We could kill it right here, or we could say, you know, put it on for more discussion, but it's something I've thought about and forgot to email.
Just to note that my inbox is always filled with New
Correct.
Jersey school boards. Take this course, take that course, and given, it's true, some of the training is in Trenton or, you know, come to Resorts Casino in Atlantic City for the low price of $99. But if there are some courses that are offered to board members for free, other ideas from board
And
members?
board members actually are, I'm sorry, and correct me if I'm wrong, and Elliot, I'm not sure you know this answer, but there is actually a little bit of a budget for board members to take training. So there actually is probably,
So,
you know, to cover, say that the 90, you know, I took a class in New Brunswick one time, a
Mhm.
couple years ago. So, and I just emailed Ken at the time and said, can you sign me up for it? He did, and the district.
I'm sure the
covered it.
money is there.
Yeah. So I'm
But
just,
you don't
yeah.
want to make it a requirement, or are
I'm
you
saying-
encouraging?
I'm holding it up for discussion for however it falls.
All right, Dr. Beal?
I would just recommend professional development because it doesn't have to be, of course, Monmouth County School Boards Association does presentation, so.
Yes,
just
they do.
Professional development.
So
or
just
board
PD.
development,
That's a great
and it
idea.
could be of anyone's choosing.
That's a great idea.
I like
Mrs.
putting,
Hayes?
I like putting it in the actual goals, not necessarily a requirement, but putting some kind of a wording in there. Like the board encourages members to pursue their own, blah, 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 whatever. I mean, I took one last week, I took one of the $99 ones.
We've
So,
also had people come in and
And do
present
it.
to us.
Mhm.
So we could also have a conversation about maybe what we all would like to see and see if somebody wants to come in on a Tuesday
So
night. when we have a
in-house
light-
PD,
Yeah, like when we have a light agenda to say, to do this, if we can, it's just, these are thoughts.
but I will just add that if you take the school board ones, then you get their credits
Right.
and then you can be a master school board and all those. You know, so it might behoove whoever wants to
well, we
do
did that with Robert's Rules. That presentation was excellent. So further comments from other board members? Would you like to see some language suggesting professional development for board members, no matter how long your term has
I
been?
want the language to say that everybody has to do 3 things and Amy has to do 3 of mine. That's what I want the language to say.
Because she brought it up. Thanks, Mr. Weinstein.
I'm saying we can kill it
No,
right
I
here. I'm just.
I think it's a great, I think it's a good idea. I'm just
In other words,
I'm
I
having a
know
little
your
fun with
idea
it.
is giving me more work.
having a little fun with that.
Right,
That's
we'll
all.
figure out
Good
a way
idea.
to work.
Good
it.
idea,
Not
yeah, good
fair
idea.
enough. Yeah, so boards. will-
Maybe,
Encouraged to participate in.
Ms.
Board
McGovern, if you
member,
could
yeah.
write something out for next
Yeah, Ms.
meeting,
Beal, Uh-huh,
Yeah, I think it's a good idea.
then we'll discuss it.
all right, thank you.
Any other old business? Mr. Weinstein?
Oh, we're in-
Well, it's Teacher Appreciation Week, right?
Yes?
And so I thought I would kind of put some context into it. So my daughter graduated from The Ohio State University. I know,
Okay.
that's right, with a degree in accounting. She was, I didn't write this on the Facebook page, but she was magna cum laude. So I was pretty
Wow.
happy about that. But I do want to thank all the teachers. You know, it's a big effort, you know, always raising kids and stuff. But I do want to thank all the teachers at Ocean Township schools that for all they did to mold her into the kid that she is today. And I know, you know, she was here from K to 12 and had a lot of great teachers, a lot of great experience. And, you know, she would not be here if it wasn't for the great time that she had here and the great experience that she had. So I just want to thank all the teachers for all that work.
Thank you. That's wonderful tribute and congratulations to
Thank
Jessica.
you. Thank you.
McGovern,
Seem to be saying a lot tonight, and I'm sorry. I
are
just.
you crying?
No, I'm not crying, not yet. No, I just wanted to make a comment. I know we went through personnel very quickly tonight. And I just wanted to point out one resignation that we have of Leanne Gutierrez. I just butchered your last name, Leanne.
No, is it-
But I do want to say that I wish her well in her future endeavors, that she was a terrific employee for us. Not only in the bus and the transportation department, but she filled in a lot for our custodial duties. And she also hopped on buses very often to make sure our kids got to school So I just wanted to thank her for her time here and wish her well in her new job with Shore Regional. So I just wanted to point that out this evening.
And I would second that. And she would often drive a bus
That's what I was saying, yeah. Yeah.
as well. I thought it was Monmouth Regional, but I'm not sure. It's Shore Regional. Well, congratulations, Ms. Gutierrez. We will definitely miss you. Any other old business? Alex?
I did find the email from Mary Ann about the superintendent evaluation, so I just wanted to put on record that I did just send it to you too. I'm sorry, I don't mean to point to Madam President, Madam Vice President.
Thank you.
Welcome.
I did say I was going to reach out to her. Let's move to new business. Anybody have any new business to discuss? Ms. Tortorella.
The issue of the error on the budget side.
Elliot explained that to,
But the issue that was brought up by John.
yes, he did.
So,
You feeling good?
yeah, yeah,
Good.
on the slide, it's rounded, but the actual like raw number is like, it's like a 3 point, like it keeps going. So if you use the whole number, you get the number that we presented.
Okay.
Just on the slide, it's rounded to whatever we have, like, to the nearest 100.
Okay,
But yeah, if
Thank
you
you.
actually use the whole number, it is the number.
And I did respond to the member of the community who reached out to point that out.
great.
I gave him Mr. Cass's response and said if you had any further questions.
Yeah, absolutely.
To reach out.
May I share something?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll follow up with an email to the board members, but just to note on May 19th, which is a week from this Friday, is the annual Wayside Wax Museum program that they do, which is outstanding. A perfect example of why you don't need a textbook to teach history. And they just do an outstanding job. It's going to be outside. I think they do it outside and because it's so large that they need it to be outside. As I said, I'll follow up with an email with the exact times and everything. But if you haven't gone, it's just a wonderful, wonderful experience and you know, try to make some time to go over to. So it's great.
Wonderful. And two other things that our district is presenting. Our dance team has their performance on Thursday evening at 8 o'clock. The high school dance team is performing, and our junior prom is Saturday, the 13th, and that's held in the courtyard. Yes, the courtyard at the high school.
At Marriott.
At the high school.
Courtyard by Marriott.
Right?
Yeah.
Courtyard, and if you get a chance to perhaps stop by and see the decorations, it's amazing how they transform the courtyard into a night of splendor. So the junior prom and the dance team recital, new business. Yes, Ms. McGovern.
I know I emailed you, Dr. Stefankovitz, about the NHS ceremony, and I know it conflicts with our meeting. I had mentioned to you that maybe we could do the meeting, which we've done before, and I know this would be a tech nightmare, but at the high school, and possibly do a 6 o'clock executive session and then do an 8 o'clock meeting. So that we could, you know, it's usually, NHS is usually an hour. It's usually pretty quick.
Good suggestion.
I don't know if it's possible with advertising and everything else or the temperature of the board to do that, but I just, it's one of the
Well,
ceremony.
yeah,
I know.
Ms. Kasuba and I discussed it when I saw the email go out yesterday morning briefly, because we were in the middle of other things. But I'll follow up with her to see if there's any way that we can.
And if not, I know-
change it. One thing, just so the board
Yeah.
knows, is I told her to please, they pick that date a year in advance and they pick it before the board sets its calendar for the next year. But I just told them that in the future, if they could avoid Tuesday nights, because you know that there's probably a 50-50 chance there's going to be a board meeting on a Tuesday night, to just avoid Tuesday nights. And so she said they'll do that.
Right. And I know in years past, when we've done back to school nights or other things, we have sent, you know, like if we know we have a quorum, I will do it if we want, or somebody else can, but I think that we should at least have one board member there. And you know, if I need to miss a meeting to go, so we have one person there this year and we can't move it, I'm okay to do that.
Let me see what we can do,
Okay.
and maybe at the next meeting.
It's
we
a
can
great
discuss-
suggestion, because I know I would like to attend.
We
Yeah.
can discuss if they want to make any changes or.
And it would be a mic call conversation too, obviously, to see if we can accommodate.
Set things up there.
And just
Sort
to kind of piggyback off of that, you know, we have the district calendar and the board meetings are set. I mean,
Well, we set, well, no, if we set remember, we set by the calendar, by the calendar
yes,
year.
and we
And they know they picked this date a year ago.
Okay,
Before
So,
3 months ago.
I didn't get to actually ask my question.
I'm sorry, forgive me.
Which was, is that calendar used to, because if this isn't the first time there's been a conflict, there's been a couple of other, I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but there's been a couple of other conflicts over the years with board dates. So is that,
All of the
how is
PTA,
that managed?
so all of the PTA presidents and the principals sit down. Usually in June, they're usually end of May, June, and goes through the entire activities calendar and works to try to prevent conflicts, often between each other, because parents share kids from different levels and things. There's really often a I don't recall that event being scheduled at that time, so it may have been picked after that. But there's only so many days,
Yeah.
and that's part of the problem, because this time of year is when all the concerts
lot,
are, and when
yeah.
all the dances are, and when all, and, so it may be worth, and I know it's hard because I know they need a lot of time for kids to do their hours and the whole process to take place, but maybe moving it up a month might help or something. So
Yeah, and I wasn't asking as a criticism. It was
No,
more just trying to think how we can just do better. That's all.
right, okay.
We'll avoid it. Agreed. I think I missed one other thing about new business, Mr. Spartan. I don't know if any of you have partaken of Mr. Spartan. Mr. McCarthy, were you
I was
a
not Mr.
participant?
Spartan, but I was a participant. Yeah, lost to Rodney Corsi my senior year. He was also the prom king, and
Wow.
yeah, I think he was 3 for 3.
Congratulations.
Prom,
Well, Mr. Spartan is being held next Tuesday if you'd like to drop in as an alum.
Give a riveting performance of Michael Jackson.
Riveting.
And what did you do?
I did the
Non-riveting
I did the skit with Patrick Swayze and who was
Oh, was it-
gentleman at Beverly Hills Ninja, very large man who passed away.
Oh, John.
Chris Farley, what
Yes,
they
that's
were.
right.
Oh, Chip and Dale thing?
But they
They
were
were Chippy Dale
choosing,
dancers, but it was very appropriate and perfectly correct.
So you
With
were,
Chris Spirito.
Is there video? Is there video of that?
There is.
I'm sure it's very
sure I'm
deep.
red in the face right now.
well, good, then you can stop it at Mr. Spartan next Tuesday. Other new business. Mrs. Hayes?
I just wanted to give a shout out to the Deeply Rooted Club, Ms. Kernizan and Ms. Dunn, and all the students that helped put on the multicultural night last week. It was fantastic. All those parents who cooked, the brave souls who ate the arepas that I cooked. They were all eaten up. I was kind of shocked. But the performances were amazing. The drums circle, it was really finely produced, and dare I say, like 300 kids were there. I thought it was fantastic.
Thank
So I
you.
just wanted to say that. And then why am I missing my, totally not meaning to put Ms. Hanson on the spot, but I heard there's a big trip to the Field of Dreams next week. Is there any way we could get like a lowdown on what to expect? Because I think it sounds like the first time we've ever done this, but I'd love to hear more about it at the next meeting too. But it seems like it's the first time we've ever done it. So maybe all I know is we're going to the Field of Dreams, like 100 kids are going. So that's all I know. Does anybody need to know this too, or?
No, that'd be great.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll give an update. Kristen, I'm sorry. Why don't you, if you don't mind coming to the mic, because we just can't. hear.
I'm sorry. I just found out today and I was like, what is
The
it?
crowd,
Awesome.
online crowd can't hear.
Yes, we're going to the Field of Dreams, our MD classes at,
Not the one in Iowa.
no.
Perhaps maybe start out with what the Field of Dreams is.
Okay,
for those who don't.
the Field of Dreams is an inclusive playground in Toms River. It's enormous. It has trampolines and a ball field, basketball hoops, all designed so that children with disabilities can interact with children without disabilities. So it's an inclusive playground, and it was all dreamed up by a former teacher in Toms River whose son had a car accident and suffered a traumatic brain injury. And he had 3 other children, and he couldn't bring all of his kids to the playground together. So because they couldn't interact, there was usually like only one swing for his disabled son
to play on. So the whole idea is that everybody can play together. And there's a huge snack bar and there's a garden. It's such an amazing complex. So what we did was we have our 3 MD classes are going with their partner classes who are Gen Ed. And so they're all going to go together and play together. And they've designed all kinds of activities for the kids to do. We have the whole place to ourselves. I'm sorry?
Elementary or middle school?
Elementary. It's, yeah, our elementary MD students are going. Many child study team members are going. Our speech therapists, OT, PT, they're all going so that they can do therapies in the playground in like, you know, a natural environment with the kids, so they won't miss their therapies or anything like that. So it's going to be a wonderful day. So we're very excited.
Wow, take
Yeah.
lots of pictures. That
It's
sounds
supposed
great.
to rain.
Oh, no.
So if it rains, we're planning to go the following week.
Oh, good.
But it just so happened that we planned this so long ago and it fell during special education week.
I was gonna say.
It was so
You must
perfect.
have done it.
Worked out. Yeah, so it's really, it's gonna be a wonderful day and, yes, I'm planning to go and take pictures and it should be great.
Well, best of luck. It sounds
Sounds
great.
awesome. Thank you. Sorry to put you on.
Other new business? Okay. We will go to the second public comment session. Would anyone in our audience care to make a comment? Ms. Conway, would anyone in the public like to make a comment?
Yes, Madam President, we have Kim Struning. Please go ahead.
Kim?
Kim, please go ahead.
Looks like she's muted still.
Yeah, I see the microphone is muted.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Sorry about that. That was my fault. Hi, this is Kim Struning, 8 Pine Lane in Wayside. I am involved a lot with our SEPTA and our CPAG. And I just wanted to give a few updates on some of the things that we've been doing in collaboration a lot with Ms. Hanson, thankfully. So SEPTA recently for the Wayside Glow Party, we helped have a sensory break room for students. And Ms. Hanson helped collaborate that. We were in touch with staff members and we had a whole room set up for kids to go and take a break as needed and then return to their peers and have more fun at the party. And it was very successful. You know, this is the first time we were doing it. And the entire time there were a handful of kids in there the entire time. And it was great to have the collaboration with the staff members. You know, it was all set up in the therapy room and that was great. We really hope to increase more opportunities like this for our students. Also, in honor of Special Education Week, SEPTA is donating books to our school libraries. We were in touch with Ms. Hanson as well as all of the school librarians, and we will be donating at least 3 books right now to each school library that promote inclusion and acceptance. And we hope to donate even more books in the future. So those are the updates for that. And then I also just had questions about tonight's agenda and a comment. First, I wanted to just note that I see on the agenda several motions to approve an instructional aid to attend events or activities with a student. And I just wanted to applaud the effort in increasing inclusion in our schools. I feel that, you know, all students should be able to comfortably and safely be included, even if it means a modification or accommodation is made. So I just wanted to share my appreciation for that. Going on to my questions. In item 10.19, I noticed lots of special education teacher positions are being let go. And 10.26, multiple special education teachers being switched over to gen ed teacher positions. I'm just wondering if someone can explain what changes are being made to special education programs that would warrant these changes. My second question is, I see that the district's BCBA is resigning, and I'm wondering if the district will be replacing her to retain a BCBA position in our district.
Mr. Banquet, yes.
Mr. Turning, I'll do the second one first is, yes, we will be replacing that position.
Great.
And then, I'll ask Ms. Hanson too, to step up if you don't mind. Oh, you look so happy with me, don't you? But primarily, Ms. Struening, and it just if you want to add something, Ms. Hanson, but primarily, over the last couple of years with the pandemic, I think, we've talked about the fact that we have been overstaffed, and one of the areas that we have not made some of the cuts that perhaps previously might have needed to be made because of the pandemic and because of the situation that has occurred there. So this year, unfortunately, with the budget situation, we found that in many of the areas where we were overstaffed, and that was predominantly in special education and predominantly at the preschool level with special education, that we unfortunately, that's why a lot of them are part-time positions, that we could really no longer hold on to those positions. So I want, if there's anything to add.
I can just add that we have not eliminated any programming. In fact, we've added programming in special ed. We have next school year, we have inclusion offered at every single level next school year at the elementary school, which we did not have before. We did eliminate some pull-out replacement classrooms because our children are being included now. So we have many less pull-out replacement sections next school year, but we have added inclusive sections. So we actually have inclusion now at every single level in every single subject. So, all 4 core subjects. So that is an improvement to the programming, I believe, and we have increased, I don't have the numbers and I will get them to the board, but we next school year are increasing our children who are included. There's just, I don't even know the percentage, but it's a very large number of students who were not previously included who next year will be. So, I think when I started in September, we only had 3 or 4 sections of inclusion in the elementary school, and next year we have it at every grade level. So we didn't eliminate anything. We've only added programming. I hope that answers your question.
Thank you. It does.
Thank you, Ms. Struening, for your question. Ms. Conway, is there anyone else who would like to comment?
Yes, Madam President. Keith Chapman, please go ahead.
Mr. Chapman?
Good evening. My name is Keith Chapman. I am in Oakhurst, New Jersey. 2 comments. One, about the PD. I mean, I'm a teacher of 17 years, and I have never honestly had a administrator or board member come to my class, offer to teach anything. I don't teach in this district, but maybe that's something that you guys start looking into, requiring people, not only just board members, but all the way from the top, superintendents, assistant superintendents, principals, board of ed members, teach in your either content area, a class, not a whole week or a month or whatever, just one day, a full day, to see what goes on hands-on firsthand, to see the behavioral problems that go on, to see the bathroom problems, to see what goes on with a copy machine these days or whatever, to see what goes on a day-by-day basis. You'll learn a lot more than just going to a PD that's online, or and that goes for even people that are non-teachers. You do have a content area. Many of you are business people, either own or operate businesses or whatever. That's something that is valuable. It would give kids a valuable lesson, but as well as you guys, firsthand knowledge. The second thing is, you mentioned the special ed. My son is special ed, and it's been a phenomenal, journey through this with the schools, with Ocean Township, and everyone has done a phenomenal job. When you hear about cutting positions in special ed, those are the areas that we need the most help with kids. We just got a letter a month or 2 ago saying they're moving back to Dow Ave or whatever. All right, fine. If that's what needs to be done, that's what needs to be done to cost savings. But moving special ed programs around, you don't do that to special needs children. You don't pick them up and keep on moving them. That is affecting their set ways. My son is autistic. There's certain patterns that they develop over time. We teach our kid to adapt, but maybe not every kid can do that, or maybe it affects them differently. So I think that rolling out that way comes out kind of really poor. And laying teachers off, that I understand with the cuts. I don't approve the raise in the increase in the our budget. but I also don't approve cutting teachers. I think you got to start looking at higher ups. You look at administrators, how many supervisors, instructional leaders do you have, assistants? Maybe you look at that and you cut from there, but you don't cut programs or teachers. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chapman. Is there anyone else in the queue?
No, there are no
Comment?
further commenters.
If there are no further comments, I will ask for a motion to adjourn our meeting.
Second.
Miss McCarthy.
Excellent job, Mr. Cast.
Thank you, Mr. Cass.
Great job.